You've been told your whole life that fruit is healthy, and for most of your life that was true. But if you are over 60, some of the fruits sitting in your kitchen right now could be doing serious, silent damage to your kidneys. Not because they're bad foods, but because after 60, your kidneys are no longer the same organs they were at 35, and nobody told you the rules changed. My name is Grace Wells. I've spent over 2 decades working with older adults managing kidney disease and diabetes. I've sat with hundreds of patients who did everything right. They ate their fruit, they drank their water, they followed the guidelines, and they still ended up with kidney damage. When I looked at their diets, one pattern kept appearing. It wasn't junk food, it was fruit. Specific fruits, eaten in amounts that would be perfectly fine for a younger person, but were quietly overwhelming kidneys that had already lost a significant portion of their filtering capacity. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly which fruits those are, why they become dangerous after 60, and what you can eat instead without giving up the sweetness or the nutrition. Stay with me through all 5, because the one that surprises people most is number 4. And number 5? Most people would never guess it in 1,000 years. Before we get to the fruits, I need to give you 1 minute of biology, because once you understand what's happening inside your kidneys as you age, everything else will make sense. By the time you reach 60, most people have already lost somewhere between 30 and 40% of their kidney function. That's not a disease, that's just age. Your kidneys filter blood through tiny structures called nephrons. After 30, you lose about 1% of kidney function every year. That loss accelerates with high blood pressure, diabetes, or years of taking NSAIDs, the pain relievers like ibuprofen that many of us have used for decades. Doctors measure this with GFR, glomerular filtration rate. A healthy young adult sits around 100. By 60, many otherwise healthy people are already at 70 or below. Below 60 is technically the beginning of chronic kidney disease. Stage 3. Here's why that matters for today. When your GFR drops, your kidneys can no longer process certain things the way they used to. 2 of the most critical, potassium and fructose. Potassium is an electrolyte your heart depends on, but your kidneys are responsible for removing the excess from your blood. When kidney function drops, excess potassium builds up. When it builds up too high, a condition called hyperkalemia, it can cause dangerous heart arrhythmias. Fructose is the natural sugar in fruit. With reduced GFR, excess fructose contributes to uric acid buildup, increases inflammation, and accelerates kidney decline itself. This is the biological reality that changes the fruit conversation completely. The same banana that's fine for your 35-year-old daughter may be a serious problem for you, not because you're sick, but because you're 60 plus and your kidneys are working with less capacity than anyone ever told you. All right, let's go through the 5 fruits. 1 medium banana contains approximately 422 milligrams of potassium. For someone with young, healthy kidneys, that's harmless. Filtered out, done. But for someone over 60 with reduced kidney function, that single banana can push your blood potassium closer to a dangerous range, especially if you're eating other potassium-containing foods the same day, which you almost certainly are. Think about what a typical day looks like. Banana in the morning, tomato sauce at lunch, potatoes at dinner, orange juice somewhere in between. Your kidneys are working overtime on potassium all day. And they may not be winning. The danger doesn't always announce itself. That's what makes hyperkalemia so frightening. Many people feel nothing unusual until their potassium is high enough to cause heart palpitations, muscle weakness, or in severe cases, a cardiac event. I've had patients come in for a routine visit with potassium sitting at 5.8, nearly 6, feeling completely fine. When we reviewed their diet, it was bananas and orange juice every single morning. That doesn't sound like a dangerous diet, it sounds healthy. That's the problem. If your GFR is above 60 and your potassium is normal, half a small banana occasionally is likely manageable. If your GFR is below 60, or you've been told your potassium runs high, bananas should come off your daily rotation. The alternative is apples. A medium apple has roughly 195 milligrams of potassium, less than half a banana, with fiber, hydration, and natural sweetness. A handful of blueberries has about 57 milligrams for the entire serving. These are the fruits your kidneys can actually handle. Oranges and citrus are harder for people to accept because they carry such a strong health halo. Vitamin C, immune support, breakfast tradition. The problem is actually two-part, and that's what makes citrus more dangerous than most people realize. First, potassium. One medium orange contains around 237 milligrams. A glass of orange juice can be 400 to over 500 milligrams per cup because you're concentrating the fruit. Most people who think they've cut back on fruit haven't accounted for juice at all. Second, oxalates. Citrus fruits contain compounds that bind to calcium in your body and form crystals. In healthy kidneys, those crystals get filtered out. In aging kidneys with reduced capacity, they accumulate, contributing to kidney stones and, over time, direct damage to kidney tissue. Then there's grapefruit specifically. It contains compounds that interfere with how your body metabolizes certain medications. If you're over 60 and taking medication for blood pressure, cholesterol, heart rhythm, or diabetes, grapefruit may be actively changing how those drugs work in your body. Some medications become more potent, others become less effective. This is not a minor interaction. If you eat grapefruit regularly and you take any prescription medication, that conversation needs to happen with your doctor. Specifically, not generally. The safe alternative here is strawberries, genuinely high in vitamin C, comparable to oranges, with only about 220 milligrams of potassium per cup, no oxalate concern, and no drug interaction risk. Dried fruit is the one that catches people off guard most consistently. Raisins, dates, prunes, dried apricots. It seems like a smart snack. Portable, natural, a small handful. It feels modest. Here's what's actually happening. When you dry fruit, you remove the water. What remains is everything else, concentrated. The sugar, concentrated. The potassium, concentrated. 1 cup of raisins contains over 1,200 milligrams of potassium. For context, the recommended daily potassium limit for someone with even mild kidney disease is often between 1,500 and 2,000 milligrams for the entire day. 1 cup of raisins. And people aren't having plain raisins in a bowl. They're adding them to oatmeal, trail mix, baked goods. They're snacking on dates. 1 medjool date has about 167 milligrams of potassium, and nobody eats just one. Prunes are eaten for digestive reasons, which is understandable. But 5 prunes contain around 350 milligrams of potassium, and they're also high in oxalates. For most people over 60, dried fruit should be treated like a condiment, a tablespoon mixed into something, not a snack on its own. If your GFR is already below 60, dried fruit should largely come off the table until you've spoken with a renal dietitian. Fresh fruit always wins the comparison. A small bunch of fresh grapes has about 191 milligrams of potassium per 100 grams. The same amount of raisins? Nearly 750 milligrams. Same fruit. Radically different kidney impact. Kiwi is the one I mentioned at the start, the one that surprises people. Kiwi has a reputation as one of the healthiest fruits on the planet. High in vitamin C, vitamin K, folate. Studies link it to better sleep, better digestion, lower blood pressure. For a 40-year-old with full kidney function, kiwi is genuinely excellent. But here's what that reputation is hiding. One medium kiwi contains approximately 215 milligrams of potassium. That sounds manageable, and for a single kiwi, eaten occasionally, it might be. But kiwi is almost never eaten alone. People eat too. They blend it into smoothies alongside bananas. They layer it on yogurt with other fruits. More critically, kiwi is one of the higher oxalate fruits, and the oxalate-potassium combination is particularly hard on aging kidneys. When you have both in the same fruit, your kidneys are handling two separate stressors simultaneously, with less filtration capacity than they used to have. Over time, that consistent double demand accelerates the very nephron loss that's already happening naturally with age. If your GFR is below 60 or you have a history of kidney stones, kiwi frequency is a specific conversation for your nephrologist. Strawberries and raspberries are the best substitutes: low potassium, low oxalates, high in vitamin C, and genuinely anti-inflammatory. And now, number 5. If there's one fruit on this list that genuinely surprises people in my practice, it's cantaloupe, because melon feels so innocent. Mostly water, right? Light, refreshing, low calorie, the fruit you eat at summer barbecues because it's the safe option. 1 cup of diced cantaloupe contains approximately 427 milligrams of potassium. That is more than a medium banana. A single cup of cantaloupe has more potassium than the food that everyone warns you about for potassium. And because it feels light, people don't stop at 1 cup. They have 2, 3. It's the fruit they eat freely at breakfast buffets and family gatherings because nobody ever told them to watch it. Honeydew isn't far behind, around 388 milligrams per cup. Watermelon is lower, but portion sizes run large. A generous wedge at a cookout could easily be 3 cups. The reason this one matters so much is the behavioral pattern. When patients hear, "watch your potassium," they think bananas. They cut out bananas, feel like they've handled it, and continue eating large bowls of cantaloupe, because no list they ever saw included it. Meanwhile, their blood potassium is still climbing. One patient, I'll call her Barbara, had been carefully avoiding bananas for months after her nephrologist told her to watch her potassium. She was proud of it. But every morning she had a large bowl of cantaloupe, a glass of orange juice, and a handful of dried apricots. She couldn't understand why her potassium wouldn't come down. When we mapped her diet together, she sat quietly for a moment. Then she said, "Nobody ever told me melon was a problem. Nobody tells people melon is a problem. That's why I'm telling you now." A 1/4 cup occasionally may be acceptable if your GFR is above 60 and your potassium is normal. For anyone with GFR below 60, cantaloupe and honeydew should largely be avoided until you have a plan built with a renal dietitian. Let me bring this together. Bananas, 422 milligrams of potassium, hyperkalemia risk. Oranges and citrus, potassium plus oxalates, and grapefruit's drug interaction risk. Dried fruit, everything concentrated, capable of consuming your entire daily potassium limit in one snack. Kiwi, the oxalate-potassium combination creating double kidney demand. Cantaloupe, the hidden potassium bomb that nobody warns you about. None of these are poison. None are universally forbidden. But for someone over 60 whose kidney function has already declined, which may be most of you watching this without knowing it, these fruits eaten in normal feeling amounts can accelerate a decline that's already underway. The tragedy I see most often is patients who blame themselves. They don't understand how they ended up with kidney damage when they were trying so hard to eat well. And the answer is almost always the same. They were eating well for a younger version of themselves. The rules changed at 60, and no one told them. Here's what the safer picture looks like. Apples, about 195 milligrams of potassium, low oxalates, genuinely one of the best fruits for aging kidneys. Blueberries, around 57 milligrams of potassium per half cup, extraordinarily high in antioxidants that research increasingly suggests may directly slow kidney function decline. This is the fruit I recommend most often to my patients. Strawberries, vitamin C comparable to oranges, very low potassium, very low oxalates, strongly anti-inflammatory. Fresh grapes in small amounts, half a cup, roughly 144 milligrams of potassium. Always fresh, never dried. Cherries, low potassium, and tart cherries specifically have real anti-inflammatory research behind them. These are not consolation prizes. These are excellent, satisfying foods that your kidneys can actually work with. You're not losing fruit. You're trading the fruits working against you for the ones working with you. Before I close, I want to say something directly to anyone watching who has early chronic kidney disease, diabetes, or high blood pressure. These conditions change your kidney's relationship with food significantly. General guidelines point you in a direction, but your specific numbers require a personalized plan. A renal dietitian is different from a general nutritionist. They are trained in the biochemistry of kidney disease and can look at your actual lab values and build a diet precise to your situation. If your nephrologist hasn't referred you to one, ask directly, "Can I get a referral to a renal dietitian?" That one appointment may be the most important nutritional conversation of your life. And here is the one thing I want you to take from today. Ask your doctor for a basic metabolic panel. It's a standard blood test that measures your kidney function, your potassium, your sodium, your blood glucose. It tells you how your kidneys are doing right now, not 10 years ago, right now. Many people in their 60s and 70s haven't had this test recently or had it years ago and never revisited it. Don't wait for a symptom. By the time kidneys show symptoms, swelling, fatigue, changes in urination, significant damage has often already occurred. The time to know is before that. If something I said today changed the way you think about fruit and kidney health, if you learned something that nobody had told you before, share this with someone over 60 in your life. Not because I'm asking you to click something, but because you now know something most people don't, and the people around you deserve to know it too. The woman eating cantaloupe every morning thinking she's being healthy. The man having a banana every day for his cramps. The person snacking on dried apricots feeling responsible. These people are everywhere, and this information could genuinely protect their kidneys. The comments below, I read them. If something I said today hit close to home, or you have a question about your own situation, leave it there. Your question might be exactly what someone else is too afraid to ask. That's what this community is here for. I'm Grace Wells. Take care of those kidneys because they are taking care of you right now, quietly, even with less capacity than they once had. Give them the chance to keep doing that.